Hi everyone, I hope you are doing well. So today I wanted to make a quick little video on the need to letting go of control on your spiritual awakening journey. Now, if you have experienced your spiritual awakening already and have possibly gone through that long extended pause, which we call the void, you know that coming out of that is never really easy. However, the biggest change that you experience on your spiritual awakening journey is one that you see prior to your awakening and one after that. And by that, I mean the person who you become in that process is very, very different. Now, prior to an awakening, you live your life from that space of that survival mode, which is really going through your day to day, not thinking about life in the same way, or from that state that I really should say that state of awareness that really comes into place after that awakening has taken place. So, really, you live your life just going through the motions, not really thinking about life from that higher perspective. That shift in consciousness that you experience after your awakening really doesn't happen until later on. However, once you've actually gone through the void, the biggest shift, and if you aren't aware of it and aren't cautious of what this is, it can cause you a lot of resistance on your journey, and that is just being able to let go of control. So prior to your awakening, you have this sense of identity where you know that everything runs on time. Everything is precisely the way that you would like it to be. There is a lot of control that you have on your life and in the way that you live your life. What really changes after your awakening is learning to let go of that control. Understanding that pause that you go through is really to allow us to experience that there is something greater than us out there, a higher power, the divine that's really running the show. And the more that you learn throughout that process to let go and surrender that control is when you will actually experience, a lot of fulfillment. Now, this process really isn't easy. If you have, especially if you're somebody that, struggled even prior to your awakening with letting go of control, you're definitely going to suffer with this a little bit more than others. And, I've been there, so I can totally understand. But the truth is that when you go through a spiritual awakening, you don't know the experiences that you're about to come into, what you're going through, the changes in your body. If you're actually going through a Kundalini awakening, which again is slightly different than your regular spiritual awakening, but nevertheless, there are a lot of changes that you experience as you're going through this. Most people are caught off guard going through a spiritual awakening, and therefore you are learning as you move along on this journey. And it is very difficult if you are holding on to, being able to control everything, how you're going to move about on your journey. And especially if you're trying to control time, it is going to cause you a lot more delays in trying to really uncover what you're meant to experience on this journey. So if this is you, the one thing you want to understand is you have to let go and release control. One of the best things you can actually do is hopefully you have established, a practice of meditation. If not, that's something really to look into and make sure that you start to get to. But once you actually start to do that, surrendering will become much, much easier if you have a practice of meditation. And essentially, what you want to be able to do is really release that control. Understand that you are part of, really a student on this journey and trying to learn the mechanisms and the strategies that you're going to need to be fulfilled, and really allow that, divine power, your guides, your spirit guides, whoever it is that is guiding you on this journey, to really allow them to come in and provide you with that guidance. The second you actually surrender to this journey, you give up that control, you will find that you are able to move through this journey with a lot more ease. And, you will be led to and guided down the appropriate path for you. Sometimes when we are, I think one of the biggest problems that we experience, especially prior to your awakening, is you think that you have the most knowledge about yourself. There's nobody out there that could understand you better than you. And while that may be true, there is somebody that knows us better, and that is the divine. So when you surrender on this journey and you are open to receiving that sort of guidance, you will find that you will get the answers that you need. As dark as it may seem coming out of the void, or even while you're in the void, it will really help you get the right guidance and start moving in the right direction on this journey. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope this was helpful. God bless.